Don't worry, you can all breathe a sigh of relief. The Radiohead puns are over for now. We can go back to normal programming, asking questions like, why didn't United buy another striker? Where's our new ground redevelopment going to be? And is Ryan Loft really the answer? Because some things never change. Hello everyone, welcome to the preview pod. It's lovely to be back, and joining me to look ahead to the Crewe game is my good friend Gary Monk. Matt. Matt, do you know what I mean, Caspell? How are you, mate?
You know the worst thing about that? Firstly, it's ruined my life. I'll just say. So thanks to, I can't remember the guy's name.
Ben, absolute icon. I'm going to build him a statue.
Ben, who's called it out. Because now I'm feeling timid about just about saying almost anything, which for me is extremely out of character, obviously. Yeah. But also got electricians in my house, and he is also saying it on loop. I think Ben has sent this electrician here to punk me.
Maybe the electrician is Ben, and he's taking the piss out.
Maybe the electrician is Ben. In which case, well played.
What I don't want this to start is like a sort of a whole avalanche of like all of our little quirks.
No, can we? I literally want the absolute opposite. Can everyone now please send in everyone else's weird idiosyncrasies into the pod, please, so that everyone else can feel incredibly self-conscious about literally every word that's coming out of their mouth.
Which isn't great stuff when you're trying to do a podcast, is it? That sort of feeling of being self-conscious. Imagine we just start getting like personally attacked for like every little thing.
Well, like, I mean,
by all of our listeners.
This like obviously we're not majorly influential and we're not that well known, but we have had, pod into real life crossover where people come to us at games and they chat with us, and we love that, by the way. So please keep doing that. What I'm worried, and people have a bit of a laugh with Walker. If it's a tense moment or, 0-0 going up to 90 minutes, people we don't even know are turning and looking at him and going, go on then. Off to the bar, mate. And I'm a bit worried, this is going to become now for me. This is going to be the thing.
Yeah,
people coming up to me.
Do you know what I mean?
Also, I just want to can we not distance this from Gary Monk? Because Oasis, mid-90s, do you know what I mean? That's iconic. So it's like, I don't want to be tied in with Gary Monk if I can be, tied in with Oasis instead.
Yeah, it says a lot about you that they've lent more towards Gary Monk than they have not.
They've heard everything I've said about football for the last 3 or 4 years, and they've formed their own conclusion.
So, Caspell, I've been halfway around the world and back, and
you have.
It feels like what I've missed is, if I can summarise this properly, that you being outed as a sort of cosplaying as Gary Monk, a United away win, which feels quite miraculous. A lot of Radiohead puns.
Too many.
Too many, probably.
Arguably. Even for me. I think we really we've flirted with the boundaries. Yeah.
The most effort anyone's put into this podcast in 6 years was George's intro to the previous show last week, which I thought was excellent. So fair play to him. And some huge ground redevelopment news. Is that everything?
I think so. Why, as a Cambridge United fan, did you feel like you had to travel all the way across the world to witness sporting disappointment when it's often laid on for you, like right on your doorstep?
Yeah, I only had to go as far as Barrow. It could have been.
Well, I mean that all turned out well. Yeah, you fucked up. You spent thousands and flew across the world to be disappointed. United pulled your pants down, metaphorically.
They
going and logging an away win.
It's such a rare scenario when United are the ones to cheer you up after a day of sporting disappointment. That's when you know something's gone really badly wrong.
Something's gone badly wrong. Yeah.
No, I had an amazing time, mate. It was a proper. I mean, you've done an Ashes. Let's not get too crickety, but you've done an Ashes Test match down under. It's a pretty amazing experience, despite the fact that. I mean, I'm pretty prepared to admit some sort of curse on me in terms of watching live sporting events. I mean, the shortest Ashes Test match in like over 100 years, and obviously that's the one that I pick to go and sort of pop my cherry in terms of Ashes Test down under in. So it was great though, amazing experience. Long old way though. I got back at 5 o'clock this morning, and I've volunteered to come on the preview show because I need to stay awake for as long as I can today.
So today sort of is for you. It actually is Friday for the Friday pod.
Right now, today is technically Friday for me right now. And last week when I had to edit the pod, which I know got mentioned in the pod, I was so confused because I'd only landed. I can't remember. Like I get confused with the time zones, but I'd landed recently. And I was genuinely so confused trying to figure out when I need to schedule the pod for, because I knew if I messed it up, I would I would get so much stick for putting it out on a Thursday, and not a Friday. But luckily, disaster averted, Caspell. But anyway, here I am. I'm back. Crewe at home to look forward to. I mean, what homecoming that is. This is an interesting game, isn't it? This one, a point ahead of us in eighth place, identical 5 game form. Heard the stat on not the top 20, which I think is quite interesting. We've played 13 of the 14 teams below us, but only 4 of the 9 above us. Where are you standing on this Crewe game? Because I guess on paper, maybe one of the maybe more presentable ones over the next month or two, but is it actually one of our harder tests potentially?
Yeah, I guess in the context of that stat, theoretically it's harder. It doesn't feel that intimidating. Basically, it just doesn't feel we shouldn't be that intimidated going into this game just because they are marginally higher than us in the league table, in my opinion. They literally have really similar stats to us. I think it's just that they have scored and conceded more goals. They're operating a bit more like what you might call a normal football team. They're not like us or Oldham, which is like very low scoring, very low conceding. I think this point about difficulty of games, I guess, is relevant. But what is it? There's 2 teams in the top half that we've played at home, I think, or something like that.
Yeah,
and we
Bromley
beat
and
them
Fleetwood.
both.
Yeah,
Yeah, and we beat them both. So it's like the point that could sort of be made, I guess, is we haven't played anyone hard yet. So too far the season for that. We barely played any hard home games, and so our home form is good. I think it's totally debunked by the fact we beat the 2 that are above, the two that are in the top half. So we should be going into this game confident. I guess squad availability is the only thing that might hamper that slightly. But then I did the Barrow preview and I was pretty doom and gloom in that one and felt pretty negative. And we found a way. We looked pretty confidently good at Barrow. I don't know if you actually managed to see any of the game, but I thought we looked reasonably fluid and played slightly more aggressive, attacking, fast-paced football. It's the kind of football you really want to see us try a little bit more, basically. So really positive performance coming off that. It's just one of those things, isn't it? The guy who's gone and scored both your goals and kind of spearheaded your win has gone and got booked and got himself suspended right near the end. So in terms of availability of squad, this has got to be our worst fixture so far of the season. Harris obviously pointed out at the press conference, we're going into Christmas, which is a really dense run of games. And we're doing it with, like, we're not going to be able to rotate for that Vertu game, are we? It's just going to be like, it's just going to be who is available, like who is fit, basically. So hopefully we'll start to get some people back fit as well.
he also points out in his presser, I mean, this is looking ahead, but the period of 10 days, 4 games around the Christmas period is quite daunting. I know that's kind of more on the horizon, but if this is the situation we're in now, not many reinforcements, well, no reinforcements we can really bring in before then, outside of what the squad is, and a few sort of longer term absentees in there. And it's already a problem on Saturday. So we'll come to the squad in a second and what sort of team you'd pick. In terms of the importance of the game itself from us, I guess there's 2 aspects to this. We've spoken a lot this season on the pod about like waiting for not just a statement home win, but waiting for a sign that maybe we are the real deal. And I don't think that's us clicking, but I think there's 2 kind of big things that that need to happen for us to kind of maybe start sort of turning some naysayers or convincing them that we might actually be a bit of a force. And they are maintaining the strong home form. In obviously we go and win at Barrow, but in general, like, our away form's been pretty poor, so we need to maintain the strong home form is one thing, and the other one is back-to-back wins, which we still haven't done this season, but we do have the chance to do that on Saturday. I mean, how important is it ahead of that busy festive period to go and beat Crewe with the squad availability, as you just mentioned? It feels like to me, when you add all these things up, that if we did record our first back-to-back wins, having just recorded our first back-to-back draws, the first back-to-back league, same result of the season. Feels like it'd be quite a big win, I think, in my eyes.
I think it'd be really big, to be fair. As you say, would be first back to back, off and away win. And also we're heading now into that couple of cup games, obviously Ver2, then FA Cup. Without disrespecting either of the competitions, you just chuck those, right? Surely you just, do you know what I mean? We had this weird debate, I think it was while you're away. Do you play your full strength team in the Ver2 game against Bristol Rovers and then rotate as much as you can for Stockport and just lie down? Feels totally wrong, because it's the FA Cup, because of what's at stake in terms of third round. But if you're putting park your emotive side and just put your sensible head on, is that maybe the right way to set up? I have no idea. But yes, I think like Crewe right before that, call it a mini break, I guess, in terms of league action, sort of 10, 11 day gap. It would be massive, I think. I think it's likely, obviously, because they're just ahead of us and in between us and the playoff places. We win that game, and then we're going into that FA Cup weekend. We should be in the playoffs. Whilst you've then got a really dense run of games, December always just looks quite crazy. They just seem to come so thick and fast. The home games feel quite presentable, right? You know what I mean? We've got Chesterfield at home on a Tuesday night. I know they're obviously a decent side as well, but it's just Chesterfield. It's just League Two all over. And then Accrington before Christmas, you are looking at as like must win. The away is obviously tricky, but I'm just starting to feel like, to give credit to the players, give credit to Harris, just feel like after Salford and then Barrow, with the blueprint for how to do the away games is just starting to come into place a bit more. I really hope that's the case. And honestly, I feel like if you go to MK and you go to Gillingham, you do these tough aways and you go and get literally draws at any of these, like Salford, like slightly positive, control the game draws. I think you're totally delighted with that. If you can orbit that with a couple of home wins, you're laughing. And then we've made it. Like, honestly, the Barrow preview, I'm sure you listened, I was doomsdaying. Like, Kouassi had just gone down injured. And I was just like, fucking hell, this run of 11 games that takes you into sort of the first week of January, I was feeling pretty negative about all that. So, classic football fan, I guess. One away win. Suddenly I'm talking about the playoffs and think we're gonna, we're gonna be fine. We're gonna be absolutely fine. He's solved it. Neil Harris has solved all of our problems, and everything is going to be fine. I'm sure it won't quite play out like that, but I see what you mean about this Crewe game with those cup games. The timing of it would be great to win that game, be in the playoffs going into December, basically.
The other thing that kind of struck me, like preparing for this pod, is it feels to me. I think this is a point that was made on a recent pod. Feels to me like the last sort of month's worth of pods, there's been a fair amount of criticism. Probably a lot of it, deserved, nothing too extreme or anything, but just in terms of the questions, like the overall sort of sentiment and moods maybe been slightly down or underwhelmed. But then, say hypothetically we do go and beat Crewe, suddenly you look at November and go, wow, that's an amazing month for us. I mean, okay, hypothetically we win 1-0. We haven't conceded a goal all month in all competitions. We've progressed in the Ver2 and the FA Cup. Would have won back-to-back games for the first time, drawn back-to-back games for the first time, played, away at third in the league in Salford, who, by the way, are clocked are now below us in the table, which says so much about this division. In the space of 2 weeks, they're 12th now, and how tight it is. But suddenly you look at November now and go, well, hang on, is that the month that kind of made us a bit? Because do you know what I mean? The sentiment to how it feels like what people think about us feels very different to what the results might say on paper.
Yeah, I guess it's just coming back to this entertainment level playing style, is that the results being good and us being in and around the playoffs, I would say, because of the playing style, is almost mandatory, if that makes sense.
Yeah. They have to be, because there's nothing else. Yeah.
We simply cannot be this boring, frankly, to watch.
Yeah.
And I do think we're shaking some of that now, because I thought Salford was like gently positive and Barrow is hugely positive. Barnet at home they just look really good, to be fair, Barnet. Like maybe we caught them on a good day. Maybe they just are a good side who are going to get in the playoffs themselves. So, you know, the point still stands. If the football is incredibly turgid, it simply must be effective. Ineffective and boring is a powerfully bad combination. So fair play. Like both have improved, you know, over the last 3-4 weeks, definitely, probably since Notts County was the last game that we've lost. You can say reasonably we are playing slightly more entertaining football, and that's all I need. You know, don't need, not looking for this sudden sea change where, you know, we're barnstorming games trying to score 3, 4, 5 goals. Just a bit more entertainment value is fine, and there's something entertaining about taking an early lead in a game like Crewe, score after the first 10 minutes, defend it really well, and then get a second goal in the second half. That for me is like, that counts. Doesn't matter if the football is itself is reasonably stodgy. It's like, it's about how we go about these games, and I guess the shape of those football matches. So I think that's where that general feeling of malaise, I think, slightly has come from. But if we keep playing like this and putting performances together like we did, obviously up at Barrow, that football, I get to say, football fans, it turns really quickly. So if we beat Crewe, you'd be right. We were talking about Harris, manager of the month contender, set ourselves up really well for December, heading into another league home game when we're back to league action. I'm feeling like if we win that, we'll be knocking on actually knocking on autos, because we've said it all season on the pod. That's how League Two operates. It's 3 or 4 good results in a row, and suddenly you're right up near the top of the table. So let's go and do it. Let's see it happen. I'm happy to eat humble pie. Listen back to that preview pod pre-Barrow. I think I was just lost in, you know, a bit of a Radiohead fugue state, which is
they will do that. That will
having like an existential crisis because I'd listened to Radiohead nonstop for like a week. So and then the Kouassi news came through. So
yeah, it's a potent mix, isn't it? Neil Harris football and Radiohead.
Basically just a powerful sense of dread.
Yeah.
I would describe it.
Well, speaking of a powerful sense of dread, we've got Swindle on preview duties this week. And he spoke to the Railwaymen podcast.
Right then, news fans, I'm joined by Stuart from the Railwaymen podcast. Stuart, thanks for joining us.
No problem. Thank you for asking us.
Great to have you on. An interesting start to the season for Crewe. We're kind of past that early season point now. 17 games in, and Crewe sitting just outside the playoffs. 8 wins, 3 draws, and 6 losses. How has the season been so far?
It's been really odd. We won the first 4 games of the season, which Crewe don't normally do. Crewe normally get off to a bad start. So it had everyone excited, and then obviously because we are now in 8th, there was a downturn in form. There was a bit of a lull, and to be honest with you, I think Crewe fans got a bit of PTSD over the last 2 years. I don't know if Cambridge fans were paying attention 2 years ago because you were in League One, but Crewe got to the playoff final. I mean, it was really a game too far. Got beat by Crawley, and I don't think any Crewe fan had any sort of objection to that result. It was we were just on our bare bones, and at the end of a bad run. Last year, we were in and around the automatics and then fell away. We were in the playoffs, and then just fell away spectacularly, and finished, I think, 13th in the end, actually in the bottom half. And then this year, we started the first 4 with a win, and then we started losing. And, you know, the joke was, the fall off started earlier this year than the last 2 years. But then there's been a bit of a rally. I think that the nadir, or I hope what was the nadir, was a game away at MK where we lost 3-1, but we were awful. Like, they stopped playing with about 30 minutes to go. They were 3-0 up, and they'd done enough. They didn't need to do any more. And we recorded quite an emotional podcast the Sunday after that game. I think Crewe fans tend to be quite long term with their thinking and their views, but I think people would start to maybe think they'd had enough with Lee Bell. And to be fair to him, since that result, that game, it's been really good. Like I say, we lost that one, but then the next game we actually played against Grimsby and beat them 3-2, and then we beat Shrewsbury after that 3-1. So, you know, there's been a bit of a turn up. We've drawn the last 2 away at Oldham and drawn at home to Chesterfield. So we're on a little bit of a good run, but yeah, just outside the playoffs at the minute in eighth. I think on goal difference.
Yeah, absolutely. It's an interesting looking table, very tight up there. You know, United just a point behind Crewe and knocking on the playoff door. So as you say, an interesting start to season, up and down, and then yeah, those two wins and two draws, a 0-0 draw away at Oldham, the penultimate game, and then looking at a 3-3 draw, home draw against Chesterfield. Sounds like a bit of a mad game.
Yeah, I think that is tends to be how Crewe and Chesterfield play. A few years ago, I mean, a few. Every year goes a bit quicker when you get older and older. Maybe 10 years ago now, we played against them at their place and drew 5-5. Last year, obviously, was their first season back in the league for a while. We had them for the first home game of the season and lost 5-0. And then we played them in the trophy this year and beat them 7-1. So actually 3-3 was quite boring, to be honest with you. No, I don't know what it is about Crewe and Chesterfield, but they can't seem to defend against each other. We were 2-0 down and I was fearing the worst, but then the resilience was there, and that's something I am a bit worried about with this team. But it was good to see, that with I'm sure most Cambridge fans will be aware if you're playing against Crewe, you're probably going to get a young team that you're playing against. And there is a lot of youngsters in this team, so it was good to see coming back from 2-0 down to get something out of the game. And really, we should have won it with one of the last kicks of the game.
Yeah, it's one of those that you 2-0 down and end up drawing 3-3, and you feel like you've probably gained a point, but you can feel a bit hard done by in games like that. So certainly interesting to see how Crewe have started. What do you think the aspirations are for Crewe this season, kind of come the end of the season? Is it playoffs that you'd like to be looking for at least?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know. I mean, if you ask football fans where their natural level is, not many clubs in League Two would say League Two. I imagine most Cambridge fans listening to this would say Cambridge's level is League One or above. I think if you look at Crewe fans, we would say the same. Historically, that would be a load of nonsense. Historically, Crewe are a League Two football team, but because of the success in the late 90s, early 2000s under Dario, there is this feeling that we belong there and that's where we'd like to be. I think top end of League Two, bottom end of League One is Crewe's natural level. If you look at size of town, size of grounds, like the football club's history. But if you look at the actual playing budget, Crewe's one of the lowest in League Two. We don't have any money that comes into the club. All the money that the club make has to be either from themselves or from the generosity of not massively rich directors and owners. I mean, obviously they've got more money than your average man or woman, but they're not super, super wealthy. So in terms of the wage budget, it's quite low. But then that doesn't really correlate with the ambition of the club, the manager, the stated aim from the chairman, and also what fans believe. So the answer to your question is I don't know. I don't know what the aim is. I would expect it to be playoffs, but then we expected it playoffs last year and we finished 13th. I think the squad's good enough. I'll be honest with you. I think there's some really good players that we brought in. I think there's quite a good mentality in the squad. And I think there's some good young players from the academy, and every Crewe promotion season is built on a spine of a good year of academy players. The last time we got promoted was 2020 during the COVID season, and you had Perry NG, Ryan Wintle, Owen Dale, Charlie Kirk, Harry Pickering. All of them went on to play in the championship. All of them did. So these are good players, and I think what we've got at the moment is the next step of academy players. So I'm hoping that is what's going to get us over the line this year.
Yeah, certainly be interesting to see. I think United probably in the same kind of bracket. It's a little bit up in the air. Not quite sure where we are and where we belong, and certainly going to be interesting to see how it pans out. Such an important time of the season coming into December and getting momentum going into the new year. The spoils lie with Cambridge in the past few years. Generally, Cambridge getting the better of Crewe, but a Crewe victory in 2018 at your place in League Two was certainly an interesting one. So, if we look to more like style of play, and is there a couple of players that you could pick out for Crewe who might stand out to the Cambridge fans on Saturday?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll start with the striker who's almost definitely going to play because We did have Josh March, but he's out injured. He's not too far away, but he won't be playing against Cambridge. So we got a young guy on loan from Stoke called Emre Tezgel, and he's doing really well. I think there's one of the issues we've got at the moment is he is getting in scoring positions two, three, possibly even four times a game, and he's not scoring all of them. And that's fair enough. But I think what the positive you can take out of that is this is a young man, a young footballer who knows how to get himself in these goal scoring positions. So I think if he can learn composure and that just giving himself that half a second to make sure the ball goes exactly where he wants it to go, I think he will start scoring goals for fun in League Two. He's already done a fair bit this year. I think he's on 8 in all competitions, so he's not doing too bad. Not as good as Low at Walsall last year, so hopefully he won't get a Stoke recall in January. He would definitely be one to look out for. The other one, I think, would be a surprise to anyone who was listening to this last year. So we signed Max Sanders on a free transfer from Leyton Orient 18 months ago. Last year, he was sort of in and around the team. If he started, he was subbed off. If he was on the bench, he came on. He wasn't really controlling games. He wasn't really doing a lot. There was a possibility, I don't know how true this is, that he might have been looking to leave in the summer because he wasn't getting the game time he wanted. This year, I don't know what's happened in terms of the club where they've decided they want to play him or how they want to play him. But to be honest with you, he looks far too good for League Two. To the point where the last 3 games, running the podcast account on Twitter, we sort of see a lot of like other reactions from other fans, and the feeling has been recently that this is a man who won't be in League Two for very long. Now, from my point of view, I'm hoping that's because he's in League One with Crewe, but he's out of contract in the summer. I think it might be this season, and then thank you very much, Max. He's everywhere on the pitch at the moment. He's running the game. It's his passing, his vision. He's doing so much, and I think, unfortunately, as a fan, I think he's doing a lot, and it masks a lot of what the others aren't doing. We're not top of the table, we're eighth, so we're eighth for a reason. And I can wax lyrical about how good he is all the time, but there's obviously a reason that we're eighth and not top. So, I think he is doing a lot, but I think, if we had a really solid partner in there with him, I think we'd be towards the top end of the table because he's just doing so much. But with Crewe, I've mentioned a loanee and a signing. It would be silly for me not to mention some academy players. We've got some really young attacking players that are really sort of starting to look like they belong in the first team. We've got Callum Aegis, a young Welsh winger who keeps disappearing to go and play with the Welsh under 21s. Every time there's an international break, he scored again on Saturday. I think that was his 4th goal of the season. Owen Lunt, who, depending on how good your football knowledge is, you might recognise the name Lunt and Crewe from Kenny. Played hundreds of games, went off to Sheffield Wednesday, and he's now back as our assistant manager. Owen is his nephew. He plays much further forward than Kenny ever did. Kenny was a number 4, whereas Owen's a bit more attacking. But he sort of drives everything, that press that I think is the vogue in football right now. I think he drives it for Crewe from the front with his energy. I'd like to see him score more goals, but that will come. But yeah, I think that's probably enough.
Yeah, it's certainly interesting to hear about those players you picked out. Looked at Tesco and saw certainly the hat trick against Grimsby, as you mentioned, and other performances. I think United are still also looking for a kind of standout player, but yeah, definitely interesting to see. Just before we go, then, Stuart, how do you think the game's going to pan out on Saturday? And finally, what do you think the score will be?
I don't know. I've seen, there's to be honest with you, what you said about Crewe not having a good record at Cambridge, it sort of tallies my memory and also my experience. I've only ever seen Crewe lose at Cambridge, so that doesn't bode well. I think there'll be goals because that is how Crewe are playing at the moment. They're scoring quite a few, but they're also conceding a few. But then I thought that against Oldham, and that was a 0-0 draw. So I don't. I think most Crewe fans will go there, be happy with a point. You win your homes, you draw your aways, and you're in good stead. But from what I've seen of League Two, there's no one really that should scare us to the point where we need to go anywhere and say we're just going to make sure we come away with a point today. These lads are good. And I don't know a lot about Cambridge, but I know what I've heard, and I've heard that you're mid-table, like you say, a couple of points or a point behind us, but you've got a really good record against the teams below you and not such a good record against the teams above you. And, Crewe are currently, if it's 1 point or whatever, above Cambridge. So again, shouldn't be scared of going down there. Let's go with a 2-1 Crewe win.
Brilliant. Well, I hope it doesn't come true, but I really appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us, Stuart.
No problem.
Thanks very much, Swindle, and thanks to the Railwaymen for that excellent preview. To sort of to look behind the curtain, we're recording this before that's been recorded, so I don't know what they've just said.
You said it was excellent.
Yeah, oh, it was definitely excellent. I trust Swindle with my life.
You said it was excellent. You got no idea. It could be an absolute catastrophe.
Could be a car crash. Yeah.
Could be.
Crewe started the season on fire. They won the first 4 games of the season, and they were top of the league. They were the sort of the early front runners, and I know that the boys on Not the Top 20 were raving about them, and then quite quickly they flipped, and I think the second month of the season they were much poorer, especially on the eye, and now they've kind of picked up again a little bit. So I think that, I mean, obviously, being 8th in the league, as we said, it's so tight. It doesn't probably tell the full story, but they've definitely got their threats. And something I want to point out here as a little plug is on Thursday, Ben's latest Get Your Stats Right article has gone out for Coconut Tier members on the website under theabbeystand.com. And he's looked at this. It's a stat they use in NBA, and he's applied it to football. He's literally like invented this stat.
Of course he has.
Which is amazing. Like, you should see his workings. It's incredible. And it's called usage rate or involvement rate. And it's basically like how much a player is involved in attacking possessions. And it can sort of teach you or tell you in a team which individuals are the most important to their attacking play. Basically, how much does the ball go through them? But it just gives you a number to that. And there's a lad who plays defensive midfield for Crewe who is he's got the numbers in there, but he's massively skewed. Is their highest usage rate. So everything goes through him. There's a lad called Max Sanders. So he's one maybe to instantly stop. But from an attacking point of view, for us, given our limited options, Caspell, how would you line up for United?
Who we got left?
Yeah, who's there?
Who's left? Get Job up front. That's what I said in the Barrow preview. It's really losing my mind.
As you were saying that on the Barrow preview, I went, he's going to say that's not a bad idea. And then you said it.
I honestly think
more self-conscious than to be self-conscious.
I think Job's so good that he could do it. He could play literally any position. What am I doing? And then what do I think he will do? God, it's tough, isn't it? It's tough because I feel like getting the 3 centre-backs on has been I've been banging on about it all season, but it's been like a massive positive.
He's going to have to do it, I think, just with the lack of options. The only other option is start Hoddle, surely.
Just because of personnel. It does feel like it has to, one of those 2 things has to happen, basically. Yeah. And I sort of think because of his tendency towards, I guess, senior pros, and putting that in inverted commas because I'm calling Job versus Hoddle a senior pro, which I guess is a reasonable position to take. Yeah, maybe.
So let's go through it then. What would that be? Obviously, Eastwood in goal. The 3 centre backs: Watts, Morrison, Job.
Yeah, Bennett and Purrington.
Presumably. Smith. So what's that? Let's say it's 5-1, and then what do you play?
5-1-3-1. Just that, stick with the same Brophy, Kai Mayer, probably not McConnell, I imagine.
And Appere up top.
And then Appere up top.
And then what does that leave you with on the bench? Yeah, McConnell, Ben Knight, George Hoddle, Kachunga, Zach Bradshaw, I guess.
Gibbons, Bradshaw.
I mean, that's it, right?
It picks itself.
It picks
itself, basically.
The only option, I guess, is, do you play McConnell instead of, I guess, Kai?
The only other things you could do, I think, and again, this is all just about my personal agenda to get players playing in these positions, is put Brophy in centre mid with Smith, and then put McConnell probably out on the right wing. or the left wing and have Mayer on the right wing and do the inverted, if you know what I mean. No, not if you know what I mean. No, no. It's like PTSD. I can't get rid of it.
That was a fine place to say it.
I think it's the first time I've done it. Look, Jules, I'm speaking English, and all our listeners probably speak English natively, so everyone knows what I mean. Everyone, I'm talking about Cambridge United. Everyone knows what I mean.
You've got really deep and philosophical into it, haven't you? You've analysed it so much.
Me.
There's a good point here, though, about the opportunity for some of these players is what I was going to say, because you'd think whether they're starting or not, players like McConnell, Knight and Hoddle, they are going to feature heavily in this game. Maybe not all three, but one or two of them, just by virtue of the numbers, they are going to come on and have an impact on this game one way or another. And I think maybe of the three, I mean, is there anyone you want to pick out of those three who you think has the chance to do on Saturday to impact the game specifically?
It's got to be Nascimento, mate. Come on.
You love the boy. I was actually going to pick Ben Knight out because...
You think Ben Knight... I agree with that, though. Like, the thing is, it's true for all three of them. I think they're all talented footballers from the bits and pieces that we've seen. Same thing we've said, or I have certainly said about Ben Knight all season, is a feeling that he's barely played any men's senior football. There's a huge amount of like raw talent. Translating that into like the rigor of League Two football is a massive task. Like I've said it a few times on the pod, but these sort of academy, former academy players, you might call them, who've played for Prem or Championship clubs, do all their football totally differently to how League Two is. It's all like 4G pitches, time and space, high technical ability, which is great. And you can see it when he plays, but no like blood and guts and people just squeezing you massively, and physicality, the same kind of physicality. And I think it's all of that probably all three of them, frankly, in terms of transition from like youth football to men's football, that is the big divide to get over, is to find a way to play in that environment. I think McConnell did really well at Barrow. Said it on the review pod, but you just wouldn't have singled him out as this guy is making his debut. This guy is not a regular fixture in that squad or that team. And that's probably one of the biggest compliments you can pay. We just hope to see the other two do it. So if one or both get their opportunity, it's reasonable to assume that possibly all three of these players will appear in some format on Saturday. They've just got to take this big opportunity for all of them. And you want to see it, don't you? Like, I know Ben Knight isn't like a youth grad, but particularly McConnell and Hoddle, it's like you really just want to see these guys who've come through the youth system kick on. There's literally almost no better feeling for us as United fans when we see players come through that way. I don't really mind who of them. All three of them can do it if they want. Let's get it going. Let's play some entertaining, dynamic football. They're all kind of exciting, technical footballers. So let's see a bit on Saturday.
Be interesting to see if like we're one down or something, and the only place he can turn is these lads.
And then he brings Kachunga.
Then he brings Kachunga on, yeah.
Hey, Catcher did all right at Barrow. Got to give Catcher credit.
Did well for the second goal, yeah.
He does so well, though. It's like, that's like intelligence level through the roof on what he does for that second goal. Like, it's that funny thing with it, even like Lofty as any of these players, is whilst we sort of have criticised and do sometimes gently mock these people, we're still desperate for them to do well. Do you know what I mean? If Catcher wants 100%. To turn up in November, December, go and get himself like 5 or 6 goals or assists or, goal involvements, then I am 100% here for it. If that makes sense.
Yeah. I think that's like a big misconception, that it sounds like, constant criticism isn't because we're desperate to see these lads do like really well. It's just that I've not seen Kachunga do anything intelligent or smart on the football pitch for like, I don't know, it feels like 2 years. But he did do really well. You're right. He deserves that bit of credit. Maybe there's a world in which he starts. I don't know. Like if Apre doing back-to-back games, you never know. We haven't.
I just think against that will be their look at the 2 cup games as an opportunity to do a bigger. Well, there's not a huge amount to do, but to rotate as much as possible, and that's why the 3 we mentioned before, McConnell, Knight, Hoddle, all going to have a big role to play, definitely, because we've got those 2 cup games coming up. Let's see. I mean, another positive to call out from Barrow, I think, in a quiet way, was like Corey Smith, who has had a bit of a rough run, I think. he's obviously coming back to fitness after a long layoff. Also much improved. You just want to see that continue, basically. So let's see what we get.
Yeah, big chance for them. Right, load up Moosenet. It's time for the prediction.
I've done it. I loaded it up. I've preempted.
Mine's not actually loading, so I can't tell you what I've put. But go on, talk me through it. What have you got loaded up, and what's your updated prediction?
Okay, yeah, you know me too well. I've already changed it. I had 1-1 Apare.
Okay,
I've upgraded it to 2-0 Apare. This is our big breakthrough. I think what I said earlier, it's more what I want to happen. Nice early goal. Not so early that Tom Walker misses it. So hopefully not in the first 10 minutes because, got to give him time. Or close to half time or straight at the start of the second half, because there's a big risk areas for our good pal Tom Walker. No, 2-0, sort of early-ish goal, first half of the half, if that makes sense, first 20 minutes. And then like a nice sort of, Crewe bit of pressure on, we're under the mill a bit, come out in the second half, score after 60 minutes, shut the game down. Bit of bombardment at the end, maybe, because Crewe actually will put up a bit of a sterner test, I think, than Barrow. But we ride the wave. Another clean sheet. Clean sheet November would be major.
That would be pretty major.
Clean sheet November, and we up to like 6th in the table, and you're like, hang about.
What were we worried about?
Why am I such a twat?
I've got 1-0, and I think I'm going to stick with it. I quite like the idea of I can envisage like a kind of bundled goal from a set piece first half, and
I'll
then
tell you what I'd love. We've not had it feels like for a while. Just like 94th minute winner.
Oh, proper, yeah,
1-0, but just like a real we've not done that.
We also haven't had a penalty. I mean, this season, right?
Well, in some of these games, we barely crossed the halfway.
Barely in the box.
So you got to be in their box to get a penalty. This seems to be really no one seems to be mentioning this. Everyone's always like, "Oh, the season we got relegated to the Football League, we didn't win a penalty until the second last game of the season." It's like, yeah, no shit. Didn't score any goals either. Yeah.
Do you know, I saw an interesting stat, which I'm just panicking to load up, which is that Crewe have hit the woodwork more than any other team in the division.
Oh,
and I think
who is logging this shit?
Enough people, don't worry. They've hit the woodwork 10 times, and the next, this is according to Transfer Market, the next highest is Swindon, who've hit the woodwork 7 times. How many times do you think we've hit the woodwork?
How many times have we hit the woodwork? Pelly at Salford.
Yeah, that's one.
Bosch.
I'm struggling to think of some others. People will be shouting them now.
Give me 5 seconds. 5 seconds.
Yeah, we can't do it in silence, so I can feel what you think.
I'm going to say 3, but I don't know. I can't remember what they are.
4, but I can't remember what they are either. Anyway, good. Well, look, if we're both right and it's a clean sheet in November, wow, that will be something to get excited about on the review pod, which you're on with Swindle and Tom. You're also doing a special little pod this evening for the Coconut Tier Legends, specifically on the ground redevelopment, views on it, looking over Paul Barry's statements, which I know you and George talked about on the review pod, but a bit more detail on that, and Tunbridge's video, which has come out since then. So just a bit of a general chat around the ground and the redevelopment and our views on it, which will be live on Friday for Coconut Tier members, as well as all the written content and match previews that we do over on the website. That's just £5 a month at undertheabbeystand.com. Obviously, if it's clean sheet November, there's only one place to be after the game, isn't there, Caspell? And that's our wonderful sponsors, the Old Spring. A nice celebratory skepasti after the game, I think, Caspell. I think that's what would be in order.
That sounds ideal.
It sounds ideal, doesn't it? That or half-price beers during their happy hour.
Or both.
Or both.
Or both. I've been known to have a drink with a meal.
Yeah. So head down there. And the last little plug, just before we say goodbye, is a friend of the pod, Josh Parker, sent through a little voice note to plug the charity Romsey Mills Christmas Appeal. It's a great cause, so anything you can do to help them out is greatly appreciated. Do give generously to them. So we'll sign off with that. But Caspell, before that, just time to say goodbye. Cheers, mate.
Thanks, mate. Do you know what I mean?
Do you know what I mean?
I only did it twice, I think, including that. That's not bad.
It's not bad. It's not bad going. Ben, you're in his head. Don't worry about it. Over to you, Josh.
Hi everyone, it's Josh here from Romsey Mill, Cambridge United's charity partner for the 2025-26 season. Romsey Mill is a Cambridge-based charity working with nearly 3,000 local young people, children and families, including some of the most at-risk and vulnerable in our community. Between midday on Tuesday the 2nd and Tuesday the 9th of December, we are going to be running our Christmas fundraising appeal in collaboration with The Big Give. This will see every pound donated doubled. To find out how you can help, please go to romseymill.org/Christmas25 or see Saturday's Matchday programme for more information. Every pound will help to make a huge difference. Thank you for listening, thank you for your support, and up the use.